do you now move forwards with all eyes looking at you, expecting high performance from you going into the World Championships in 4 or 5 months' time? How do you balance that stress and the expectation? Well, you don't know yet. Come back and
I think it's different every time you do a race. I think it's about your own, I used that word just a minute ago, but stability. I think it's about that mental stability and trusting in where you're at. So I knew before St. George that I should be in, before I did Lanzarote 70.3, I had a great race. I knew that was spot on where I should be performance wise. And if I can replicate that in St. George, then I could win. Like, I just took that as like a fact. And you sort of know as well, like, that's Annie Howe. She's coached by Dan Lorang. He knows what shape other people are in. Laura Phillip race, you start to create this database of, okay, who's where and what's going on. And I just used that for St. George. There was a lot of pressure. I was, talked about as the favourite, and I was like, just wait. Like, you can't rule Daniela out. You can't rule out that Anne's, come round. You can't. So I don't necessarily worry about other people's expectations as long as I'm happy with where I'm at. It's slightly different with sub 8. And then going forward to Hawaii, I think I'll use the same idea. I'll use this, I guess it's a confidence mentality of, what do I need to do to be happy on the start line that I can have the swim I can do? And that is train consistently for X many months. That's 20 kilometers a week for the next 4 months, done, tick. That's all I need to do. And actually, that's something I worked on at the beginning of this season with a sports psychologist, was this, I guess it's confidence profiling, like understanding where I get the confidence from. So I'm in the race, I'm running sub 8. I know that I'm at 170 heart rate, and I know that that's a physiologically happy place for me. And if I just keep running at that, then that's done. So then when I'm training, I know that I need to have sustained efforts at and around 170, 175. And then I'll be happy to run that in a race. Like, it's just this real rational breakdown of coping with my own expectations and trying not to necessarily let other people's expectations and pressure like filter into my own world.
Gosh, it's powerful. You said, you asked the question, what do I need to do to be happy on the start line? And I've also heard you share, Kat, that you have to be mentally sound to be physically well. So I guess this is a strong link. You need to be psychologically in a good space, happy, enjoying it, well prepared, and pull the trigger and release, right?
And I think that comes a lot from the physio background as well. Like, I went straight into my first, proper job was in the army. It was at Headley Court, which is a big rehabilitation centre for complex injuries, some post-Afghanistan and some just rehab that wasn't getting any better. And I learned very quickly that our physical experiences are linked to psychology. They're the same in a way. And so I think I've always brought that into my own training, that if you're not ready to be there, then what's the point? You're not going to be able to perform because you have to be there mentally first. And I experienced that really heavily and negatively in Challenge Daytona in 2020. I'd worked so hard during lockdown to have this idea. My dad had said to me, the person who's winning at the end of 2020 is going to be the person who's dealt with COVID the best. And I was like, right, that's a good challenge. I'm going to be the person who's coped with, COVID the best. Psychologically, bear in mind, I hadn't had COVID. And so I had a really great performance at Ironman Florida in November, which emotionally was similar to, it was like complete emptying of the tank. And then I wasn't prepared to race in Daytona, and I didn't want to race. I was like, a week before the race, I was actually stopped a training session and rang my husband. I was like crying. I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to be here. And he was like, well, you're there anyway. What's the point? Just race, give it a go. And I wasn't healthy. I wasn't physically fit, and I wasn't mentally fit. And all of those together then meant that I actually DNF'd, and it's the first and hopefully the only ever time I'll do it. But that just reaffirmed this idea of, like, psychologically for me, it's different for some people, I'm sure, but I have to be 100% emotionally ready to hurt. Otherwise I can't perform at my best.
Gosh, you have to be 100% emotionally ready to hurt. Otherwise you cannot perform at your best. I think most people could recognize and can understand that it's you have to be ready to hurt. It's it's pain, right? It's enduring pain and going to very uncomfortable places.
Yeah, and
it's scary.
And you train that. It's not just, I don't enjoy I'm not one of these people who like loves to suffer and loves the pain, but I think I get a lot of learning from doing that in training sessions, like knowing that this rep is really hurting, and if you finish this rep, then it means that you can finish the race. And I always have those like big sort of, just finish this rep, and that will mean that when you're hurting in the race, you can finish. It's just this constant, I guess, visualization in a way to performing in a race. And so every single rep that you do that really hurt, that's that, I don't know, the last 5K of the marathon.